Good morning. Today I have to make some more dog food for my dogs. So I thought I'd bring you all along on that and show you how I make my dog food for my dogs. They're very healthy and they've been living on it now for, well, let's see, one's almost 9 and one's almost 8. And one's almost 7. So my 3 dogs eat this concoction, but it's done them well. So hang in there and we'll get started. So what we need first off is you need an Instant Pot. Mine's an 8-quart, I believe. And I use this like almost twice. Well, let's see. I make the food almost twice a week. So probably every 5 to 6 days I make it. So it gets some use and it's lasted me, knock on wood. So what you start with is 10 pounds of the chicken leg quarters, a container of chicken livers, and some frozen sweet potatoes is what I use. And then also into that goes a carrot. And that's it. And that's how I make their food. And then I'll show you what else goes into it shortly. Be right back. So we started off, I start off with 4 of the leg quarters, the bag of frozen sweet potatoes, and I used one of my farm fresh carrots in there today. So that starts it off, and then I add a water to it, at least 1 cup, usually more, and then we put the top on. So we set it for 35 minutes, pressure cook, and take off the keep warm function. And that's what you do. The top is on, and you make sure your thing at the top, your vent at the top, is turned to the back. And it'll beep. And it'll do it, and that's all you gotta do. And then you just wait. I don't add any salt, because I figure they don't need salt. They're fine. And then I just let that cook. And then when that's done, I'll bring you back. And then you add rice to it as well. So what I do is, rather than dirty a pan and all that stuff, I go ahead and do it in my microwave. So I take this, bowl, I put some water in and some rice, and I microwave it for 9 minutes. And which makes it cooked, pretty much cooked. And then I just let it sit for a while. And then that gets added to it at the end. I'll show you that. Okay, so our rice is done. And so this is what it looks like when it comes out. And it'll just sit there for a while and it'll get a little bit more fluffy, So I just put that aside for now until the meat is ready. So the Instant Pot has gone from 35 minutes down to 21. So once it hits, once it stops at 0, it'll do what's called a natural release. In other words, the pressure will come out naturally. So you don't push anything to let steam out. It comes out by itself. And then when that's done, I'll bring you back. So as you can see, the Instant Pot has finished its time. And so what we're doing now is just waiting for this white button to go all the way down. That'll mean that it's naturally released all the pressure in there. And once that's done, we can take the lid off. But that'll take just probably another half hour or so. So while I was waiting, I decided to go ahead and do some more harvesting. So look what I got today. Now this is garlic that I planted God knows when last year, but it was a while ago. And it's just got through drying. So what I'm gonna do today with that is I'm gonna make some garlic powder out of it, and I'll bring you all along for that. But again, I think I said in one of my other videos, when they tell you not to plant the end of the onion because you won't get a bulb, proved them wrong again. Look at there. Look at that onion I got. That's a nice size onion right there. So that's one thing I will not stop doing. There's another one. That's not as big, but it's, you know, just to show that it will give you a bulb. Now this one, on the other hand, has a flower. No, it doesn't. This one, I don't know if it's not done yet or what, but it's still an onion. I mean, I've used it before, so it still gave me an onion type of thing. So I got some more corn that I left yesterday, and that pretty much maxes out the corn because it's, the other ones are very small, and I doubt very much that they're going to give me much. Got a couple more carrots, but I did stop at after a minute because this is what I ended up with, tiny ones. And I don't think either they're not ready or I can leave them in the ground for a little longer just to figure it out. So they were very small. So I stopped there. But I got all these tomatoes, so I'm thinking what I'm going to do with all the tomatoes I have, cherry especially, and there's a zillion more out there, I'm going to go ahead and can a couple of the cherry tomatoes. I know I've pickled them before, and they were delicious. So I'm going to look up that recipe and see. I mean, I think I'm going to do that with the cherry tomatoes, as opposed to, you know, putting them in the sauce like I talked about the other day. I'm going to do that. I'm going to put them into probably quart bottles, maybe pint bottles, and just have them as a snack, as pickled. Oh, they're so delicious. I mean, I remember making them now. And I was using yellow and orange cherry tomatoes at that time. I think some of mine are yellow and orange tomatoes out there, but I haven't seen them yet. They're all red so far. So once the Instant Pot is done doing its thing, I'll bring it back. Time for me to take my Manjaro shot. So what I forgot to turn my camera on for was to show you that the Instant Pot was done because the white button on the top was down. It was down. So meaning all the pressure in the pot is gone. And it's safe for you to take the lid off. So I took the lid off and I took a slotted spoon and I took all of the ingredients in the pot and put them into a bowl next to the pot. Next step is to go ahead and put the rest of the ingredients into the pot, including the liver. I forgot to mention that I mentioned it, that you put a container of liver in there as well. So in this step, I'm going to add the rest of the chicken and the blood, honestly, and the liver into this pot, and I'll be back with that. So there you go. The rest of the legs quarters are in there. Usually there turns out to be about 9 leg quarters in a bag, and so I do 4 at one in the first time and 5 the next. And I also add the blood from the bag, and that's the liver laying there. That's the whole jar of liver. So I'm going to go ahead and put the lid back on. Make sure the latch is in the back, far back position. Again, I'm going to set the pressure cook for 35 minutes, which mine defaults to that, and turn off to keep warm. And that's it. It'll do the second batch now. Now with this, I'll bring it to the other, well, I can do it here. With this, what I do is I take, I just, see how easy it is to get that chicken off the bone? It's just simple dimple. And I mash up the carrots with it and the sweet potatoes. And that gets all mashed up. And then I bring it over and I go ahead and debone it, which what I use is tweezers, like cooking tweezers, I guess you call them. I don't really know what they call them, but I call them that. And I go ahead and take all the bones out of there. With the tweezers. Okay, the word is prongs. Prongs. So you take your prongs and you just take the meat out. See how easily that meat comes off the bone? There's no problem at all with that. So you just pick them all out, pick out all the bones as best as you can, and if you can't, you get them later when you're actually in the feeding process. But I just pick out all the bones, put them in a separate area. Those go in the trash. Find them in here. And then what I go ahead and do at this stage is I go ahead and mix the rice in. Even though I'm waiting on another batch of chicken, I go ahead and mix the rice in now, just to get that over with. And plus, at some point, sometimes it's feeding time, and I didn't have the second batch done, so I have to have it all ready to go. But you can tell while you're doing it that some of this chicken, or the bones, have actually multified to a point of they mulch right in here. So, I mean, it's a very healthy meal for your dogs. A very healthy meal. I have 2 German Shepherds. And like I said, this will take me probably 5 to 6 days of feeding them. So you mix in the rice. Mix it all up in there. And then when you add the second batch of meat, obviously, there'll be less meat. There'll be less rice to meat ratio, so it's healthier. But you got to have that little bit of filler in there. Not a lot, just a little. And economically speaking, so a bag of that chicken costs about probably $5.50 at Walmart for the 10-pound bag of leg quarters. The bag of sweet potatoes, frozen sweet potatoes, is about $1 something, $1.04, I think. So we say $1. The liver is about $2. Right? The rice, oh goodness, a bag of rice is cheap, like $4 or something, and then you're only going to use a half a cup. So that'll last you forever. I'm not going to even count that price. Let's see, what else do I have in there? The carrots, well, they're from my garden. But however much you want to put a price on those. Anyway, so that's what goes into this. And so ultimately for a week, you're probably talking about $20 a week to feed your 2 German Shepherds and a Chihuahua. So I'll be back when the second batch is done, and I'll show you more of that. So I cleaned up the veggies, and this is my compost pile. I decided to start using my compost bin again. I'm thinking, it goes so much against my grain to waste anything. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that. This is the whole pile of stuff that I need to do something with today. There's all this stuff, and that's my onions that I just cleaned up. Aren't they beautiful? They're beautiful. So I can use those in lots of things. Like today, I think I'm going to make a country ribs with barbecue sauce, and I'm going to cook myself some rice to go along with it. Doesn't that sound delicious? I might bring y'all along on that. Okay, so the second batch of chicken has completed in the Instant Pot. I got it out of there, I deboned it, and this is what we have, a whole big old container full of meat. Then, just so you know, they don't just get that. They also have kibble in their bowls. So I thought I'd go ahead and show you how I make up their bowls. Now here's another little icing on the cake for them, something they adore. So my cat, fussy little thing that she is, she likes tuna fish, but she also gets her kibble as well. But she likes in the morning, she likes to have her tuna fish. But sadly, the only thing she does is lick the juices. So if I really wanted to make that stretch, and I've done it before, I'll trick her and add some more water to it And sometimes that works. Sometimes it works. I can't say all the time. But anyway, at the end of the day, when she's already eaten everything she wants to eat, my dogs love to have that as like exactly the icing on the cake. So what I do now is I take a scoop of the meat, I put it in to their bowls, a scoop of it, and we can't forget about Charlie. Now Charlie likes it. You know, Charlie will eat about that much, but he also eats dry food. And then I'll take this, but I'll mix all that up with the kibble at the bottom, because it seems like they'll just leave the kibble at the bottom and eat the top stuff, and that's not good. Yep, that's not what good babies do. So I do that, and then I give them all a scoop or two of tuna on top. And that's only in the evening. Now, mind you, these dogs eat twice a day. What you see them getting right now is twice a day. Once in the morning, once in the evening. So that is, that's a lot of, not a lot. I mean, they're German Shepherds, you know. And in the meanwhile, they always have access to, kibble. You know, it's always out for them if they ever want to eat it. They don't usually eat it, you know. Usually they don't. Well, in today's episode, I have a lot of this tuna left, so I'm going to put it back over there for the cat before I give anybody else any more, because she's over here asking me to eat again. So we're going to put that over here for her, and she can dive into that. And then over here, what I do now is I take some cheese. It's fat-free cheese. And I sprinkle just a tad of it on there, just a little, because they like the smell of it. And that's their food for the day. That's their evening meal right there. Right there is their evening meal. They each get one of those. And Charlie, sometimes he eats his, sometimes he doesn't, because he already ate his kibble today, which he gets a little bowl of kibble. But he eats it whenever he feels like he wants to eat it, you know. So that would be one serving of their meal. I just thought I'd let you know that. So in other words, that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoy it. I just want you to know also the broth from that is amazing. I prefer, if I'm going to use it for soup or something, I prefer not to have the liver in it. So I take it out of the first batch. I take the broth out of that because I don't put the liver into the first batch. I put it in the second batch. But you can can this, and I have many cans of it already canned. You can do a lot of things with it. Use it in cooking. You know, you can use it for soup. It's delicious. You're going to want to put some salt probably, or some flavoring, or maybe a bouillon cube or something. But it's a delicious soup. You can add pasta to it. You can add rice to it. You know, so economically speaking, you can't get a better meal than this for your dogs. So, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was informative for you. I hope you'll pass it on and share it and like it and subscribe to my channel. That would be great. Okay, I hope it was some help. Okay, bye.